Hi everyone, my name's PK and here I have Marco. I'm going to go for the last name actually, Afzali, who's a client of the Property Investment Accelerator. Brilliant story, brilliant property deals. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how he bought two properties in Queensland from Melbourne without a buyer's agent, without catching any flights, how he overcame, everyone goes through confidence hurdles, how he used the data, and how hopefully everyone who's watching or listening can do the same. So thank you for making time on a busy working day, Marco. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure being with you, PK, and hi to everyone who's watching this video.
So I'll just go through the actual numbers real quick just to kind of paint a picture. So the first property Marco bought in Queensland, so this is a regional town for 401,360, I believe. The rent is 480, so very, very high yield. And he got this off market, and we'll go into how potentially get off market deals in a second as well. The second one was also in Queensland for 374,860. Okay, under $400,000. And I love this because the rent is 500. So I can't do that math in my head, but what is that, like 7%, close to 8%? Just you can't go wrong. This was also off market. So, I mean, congratulations are in order, Marco. But like the obvious question is, people always go on about how off market deals are the bee's knees. Now, just because it's off market doesn't mean it's great. You can have terrible properties off market. But how did you go about getting these off market? Because you certainly may not have got this type of deal or these types of deals had it been listed on real estate or domains. How did you go about that, Marco?
I think it was a combination of getting lucky and a good timing. I think it was a combination of both. But before I touch on that, I would like to go one step back and just let you know that how I even got into this whole game and what made me confident to do that.
Great idea.
Um, I was renting in New South Wales, in Central Coast, New South Wales, and we're talking about around towards end of 2020. And they listed that apartment that I was living in Gosford for rental. Sorry, for sale. So I was renting it. They listed for sales, and there was lots of viewers coming and going, and it was really irritating. It got to the point that we had two or three viewing every week. So I decided, you know what, and whatever it takes, I should buy a property myself. And everyone been saying like, hey, property price is as the high as possible. It gets a way to rent another place. But I did take the decision and I did buy in Central Coast. I sold that property 9 months later on, with about $180,000 profit on top of that, tax free. That was my biggest motivation. That I was always hearing, well, this is the game. You have to uplift your game. You have to be in the right direction. But that was a reality for me, and that was it. I actually I was confident that I have to do this.
Sure. So you got like a taste for the property game through buying and selling your principal place of residence.
That's correct. Yes, and in fact, from tax perspective, from accounting, it's just a no-brainer. Now, coming back to these two properties, I think followed your course, obviously done all the research, done all the math and valuations, contacted the agent that you listed in the actual document as part of week 2 or 3, I can't remember exactly. And they've been kind enough to show me the first property. It was tenanted. It is tenanted, the same tenant at the moment. And I've done a bit of research around the area, everything, insurance, flood, everything as part of week 2 and 3. And it was a good deal. So we agreed on that, done a bit of inspection, property and pest inspection, and there was some items there which we could go back and negotiate further. So I think it was listed for 418. And we got a bit of discount as well, and closed the deal. The second property was, again, interesting timing. They wanted to sell. There was a contract in place, but apparently the buyer had some family emergency, and it was a more senior. It was a senior lady, which didn't even let us to bring anyone to view the property after purchase or
Oh,
anything.
wow.
So yeah, she wanted to sell. She'd been through this whole trauma and drama of selling, and she couldn't do that. So for her, it was a no-brainer. She wanted to sell, and I was there, offered something, and it was accepted. I think I've got about, it was offered, it was listed for 380, and I got a bit of discount and closed that one as well.
So the property manager had introduced you to both of these properties and they weren't listed, right? So oftentimes we think that you have to contact a real estate agent and call them and get on their right side so that they send you these good deals before they're listed. But in this case, it was actually the property manager that you
That's
got
correct.
on your right side, and they offered you these deals. So because it was a property manager, am I right in saying both like were tenanted, or the second one, the senior lady was living there? How was it that the property manager found out about the property?
So it wasn't, the first one wasn't property manager, it was the sales agent of
I
the
see.
same property management company. So they knew each other, that's how they introduced. On the second property, it was again interesting story. The property is in a really good shape. I've seen the property and I told her, look, it's so good, I even like to move in. I'm hoping we don't have any trouble finding a tenant.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. We just replaced carpet in 2 of the bedrooms, that she arranged everything, everything remote. I just paid the invoice. It took us about a week for that to go through, and next week it was tenanted. A couple of people came and visited, and I accepted one of the
Awesome.
applications.
That's a really good thing that you just mentioned there as well, around how you replace the carpets, the flooring remotely. Like the property manager got the quotes, managed the work, project managed the tradesperson, and you just paid. So I think for anyone who's watching or listening, you can buy properties that require a little bit of work. Like I'm not saying demolishing a room or extending a room, but a little bit of work. Everything can be done remotely with a solid property manager at the helm. And you kind of took us to your backstory before, Marco. Could you expand upon that? Like, why did you even decide to do the course? Like, you'd made money in the, I think Gosford, you said, in the Gosford region, so you kind of had some experience of buying and selling properties. Like, why do this $6,000 course that promises everything? Like, why not? Why didn't you just do it yourself?
A good question, PK. And I'm sure there are many people like myself, I don't know, a year ago, out there who have a bit of information. They may be following your videos or other people's videos, and they still haven't decided, should I do this? Shouldn't I? It's a bit expensive side, things like that. I have done a couple of courses in Udemy and other resources, but American based, and they give you all the information, but it's not a roadmap. So they don't tell you, you follow this process and you start from here and you end there. And it's a roadmap, it's tested, it's vetted, it works. None of them have that. I think your course is the only one out there that provides this roadmap. So even if you know nothing about property, you can follow the process and you can be sure that at the end, if you follow the process, you will get a good outcome. For me, I think it was an investment. I didn't look at the number as a price. I looked at it in the context of, okay, if I buy a property, what would be the margin? This is part of the cost of purchase. What is the overall margin in this deal? Having a business, for me, that's how I looked at it. So it's part of the cost. It's a once-off cost. The good point about it is not every time you have to repay it, and you are on top of pretty much the whole process after that.
Yeah, no, makes sense. It's a lot of it's a mindset thing, right? As opposed to putting it in the expense category, it's like, oh, that's a bit expense. You put it in the assets category as an investment. I think that's the trick, the kind of mental switch that sometimes will help people, really just progress in wealth creation in general. And I mean, whether it's from the course or the context and the references, the people that you met within the course, property managers, conveyancers, et cetera, et cetera. Like, how did you sort of touched on a couple of times about how you're sure it's a good deal. People scroll realestate.com, they see thousands of properties, but they're never sure, like, is this a good deal? Is this not? What makes you so sure and confident that you've made the right purchases? Because you've just put in accumulation like around $700,000-800,000 of your hard-earned money in these two properties. Like, what is it about the process that gives you that certainty? And perhaps another way to ask the same question is, what should other people be doing to build confidence themselves?
Correct. I personally, I'm a risk taker kind of person. If I see some value and I see there are risk, my background is cyber risk management. So for me, it's easy. I take the risk. But back to your question, I think the valuation of the property is one of the really important tools within the toolbox that you give to everyone who purchased the course. That valuation part is so important that in building your confidence that, hey, I've done everything, I found the right suburb, I found the right pocket, now I've done this valuation as well. And then even myself, I've done it. You always doubt yourself and you want to reassure that the decision I'm taking is right. So I went online and even searched all of these. Like, I think I checked about 8 different online tools in the market, from banks or whatever, and it was more or less the same. So I was like, okay, it seems like correct. I'm in the right path.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's such an important thing, because whether you're outsourcing your property decision or whether you're insourcing and doing it yourself, like, you need to be able to verify these deals. You need to be able to verify the price, as you said, the location, the traits or characteristics of the property. And no one would really do that for you as well as you can do it for yourself. That's my strong belief. And like, maybe last question or two, what's like your biggest advice or your biggest 2 pieces of advice to people that were perhaps in your situation, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, where they're like, I really do want to invest in property, but I'm not 100% sure where to do it. I'm not 100% sure how to do it, and I'm not even 100% sure if I should do it. Like, what's your advice to people like that?
Excellent. Yeah, I'm sure there are many people out there with all of those questions in mind. I was one of them, and I'm sure there are many others as well. I can almost guarantee there is no other game beyond properties. Properties is the ultimate game. I do some investment in gold, in shares, building my own business at the moment. But property is different because it gives you that leverage, but at the same time it helps you in terms of tax, and it's just a different game in terms of investment. So for whoever who are still having doubts and they haven't decided, you would never know if you don't do it. You have to do it, and if you fail, it's fine. But I can almost guarantee if you follow the process, you wouldn't fail.
That's very kind of you. And look, I don't know if it's going to be true in the future, but definitely in the past, I think there's a statistic, someone can verify it for me, that the 90% of the world's millionaires made their first $1 million through real estate. Now, whether that was in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, doesn't really matter. The fact is that it was through real estate. And even if you don't do the course and you have a sort of stab at the dark, you might get it wrong, but in Australia, property is as blue chip a asset class as you can get. In the long term, it will always come right. But of course, you're a risk taker, Marco. Not everyone might be, but it's important to get it right. And that's therefore the data, which is objective, will almost always, get it right for you. Last question, Marco, for sort of anyone who's thinking, look, this all sounds good, PK, and fantastic work, Marco, but I don't know if these results are possible anymore. Interest rates are rising. There's a war going on. Who knows what's going to happen to the US economy with inflation. Like, how do you think about the global and Australian economic situation and how it affects your decision making on investing?
Excellent. Today I had a chat with Shankar again, the mortgage and finance team that you suggested as part of the course. Very good friend of mine at the moment, and we are planning for the next loan application. PK, I don't think there is ever there will be ever any perfect timing. There's always ups and downs and wars and, I don't know, snow and hail at somewhere in the economy or in the world or politics. I think you have to stay focused. I have a plan. I need 14 properties to reach to 200,000 passive income. I stick to my plan. If I can execute it within the time frame, that's all I'm focused on. And I suggest everyone else come up with their own plan, because irrespective of what happened in economy, whether in Australia or in the world, you need to look after your finances and stick to your plan and execute the plan correctly. That's I guess what I'm going to do. So my next step is Western Australia, and that's where I'm looking at the moment.
Nice one. No, very succinctly put. I think it was Stephen Covey who said that, there are things that we can't influence, but then we have a circle of influence, and whatever we can influence, we should meet the morning or meet the day with the plan. So can't influence what's happening with interest rates or inflation, but we can buy high yield properties to hedge
Absolutely
against that. So that's exactly what you've done, 2 high yield, high growth properties, both off market at a bit of a discount. I mean, what more can you ask? I haven't done anything. All the kudos goes to you. So congratulations once again, Marco, and well done.
Thank you. Thanks to you and your great course that you put together. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much. And guys, if if that was valuable, let me know. If you have further questions for Marco, you can put them in the comments. I'll try to answer them. Marco might try to answer them. We're really trying to educate you, inspire you. In these videos, there's almost like 100 client interviews now here on YouTube in the playlist. Go check it out. Even if you don't do my course, I honestly don't mind, but at least you should take action, because without action, nothing is really achieved. Hit the subscribe button, turn notification bell on, give it a thumbs up. And once again, Marco, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.